So, original score, the nominees are Thomas Newman for 1917, Hilda Guanadotter for Joker, Alexandra Desplat for Little Women, Randy Newman for Marriage Story, and the maestro himself, John Williams, for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. So, a few weeks ago, before the Golden Globes took place, I think a lot of people were really rooting for Thomas Newman to, win his first Oscar. Because, like Diane Warren, Thomas Newman's now been nominated for 16 Oscars for his composing. And amongst his previous nominations have included The Shawshank Redemption, American Beauty, Finding Nemo, WALL-E, Skyfall, Bridge of Spies. He's done some excellent scores, even one or two that weren't nominated, like Cinderella Man, which, as most of you know, is one of my all-time favourite films. So a lot of people were sort of hoping that Thomas would be, the favourite for this award. But, Hilda for Joker, I rewatched Joker the other day, and the score is just chilling. It's really well, it's well composed. And I think it would be a historic for her, because I don't think I seem to remember there's been one or two female composers who've won this category in the past, and the fact that she's won a Golden Globe and a BAFTA for her work on this film, she's done a great job, and it would be a great win, to be honest. But a part of me wants Thomas Newman to win for 1917. I think if there's a dark horse, it will probably be John Williams. But I think the issue with, this is I think it's John Williams' 51st or 52nd Oscar nomination, which is absolutely crazy. But he is, the greatest composer of all time. I think the argument is, of course, with Star Wars, is that this particular outing, the music was sort of like a remix of his, his old stuff, and a bit of original music as well. So yeah, but I think it's going to be down to, Joker or 1917 to take this one. So, visual effects, we've got 1917, Avengers Endgame, The Irishman, The Lion King, and Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. I'm really, really rooting for Avengers to win this one. It was just, it was my favourite film of last year, and I say that amongst all the Oscar contenders, going up for, the big awards. But Avengers, it was epic. It had everything. And it's sad that it's now the highest grossing film of all time, and yet it managed just the one Oscar nod for its visuals. And they are brilliant visual effects, but I just hope the Academy reward it. When you think, like, Titanic won 11 Oscars, and then Avatar won, I think it was about 4 or 5, they were the two previous holders of the highest grossing film award. But I think Avengers, it has, for me, it should take the win. But I say that, but then of course 1917 won the BAFTA the other night, or the other day, which I was a bit of a surprised about. 1917 is a really good film, but I didn't think the visuals were anything. They weren't as it wasn't the best category for the film to win compared to the other nominees. So, I just didn't think there were that many effects. When you look at, Star Wars had plenty of special effects. The Lion King's visuals were stunning, although I didn't obviously watch that particular version. And even The Irishman, I know there was some people who were like, some of the actors look daft with this, being de-aged and everything else, but I liked the visuals in that. So I think if 1917 was to win, I'd be a bit sort of like, nothing special. It's not like it's not like some of the previous winners this category, like the Lord of the Rings trilogy or anything else. But no, I'm rooting for Avengers all the way on this one. So we've got the sound categories. I won't talk about these two separately because they're quite similar. So sound mixing, you've got 1917, Ad Astra, Ford v Ferrari, which is also known as Le Mans 66 in the UK, Joker, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And then sound editing, 1917, Le Mans 66, or Ford v Ferrari, Joker, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. So, of course, both these awards were won last year by BoRap, which was well deserved, although I was very surprised it won sound editing, because the Academy don't usually tend to acknowledge films, musical films in that, particular lineup. But no, I was buzzing about the fact that it won, and I think that could happen again this year with 1917, because the sound of the sound in both films, it was really sort of they just upped the ante with it, and when a film's sound is it's brilliant when you're literally just tense throughout the whole screening of it, and that's how I felt watching that film. I've never coped well with watching a war film on the big screen, but I made an exception for 1917, of actually going to see it. But I mean, I think I could see a scenario though where the Academy might embrace Ford v Ferrari, because I thought the sound effects in that were excellent, for the racing sequences, so there is the chance of a split. But I think, personally, at the moment, I'm going to say 1917 takes both awards. But Ford v Ferrari could win one as well. Film editing, the nominees are Ford v Ferrari, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, The Irishman, and Parasite. I think this is going to be a three-way fight for this one. I think a lot of I adored The Irishman. I think of the 8 of the 9 Best Picture nominees I've seen, I think The Irishman was my favourite overall, and yet it's kind of a travesty that it's very likely to be, the one film that might not win an Oscar on Sunday. I mean, a film that's over 200 minutes long, it's been nominated for 10 Oscars, and it was nominated for multiple Golden Globes and BAFTAs, and with those 2 particular awards ceremonies, it didn't win anything, which was shocking. And there's a sad chance that it probably won't win again this Sunday. But I think editing, there's a chance of a film winning there. And Thelma Schoonmaker, she's a master of her craft. She's been doing editing for Scorsese's films for a long, long time. So you'd like to think she's got a chance. But I think Parasite's won a key award at what's called the Eddies, which is like it's the a ceremony that celebrates the best of the edited films of the year. And Parasite, a lot again. That's a film I've raved about a lot. It's a very, very good, Korean film that's obviously due out here this weekend, and one that you all need to check out eventually. But the editing in that was really good. And Ford v Ferrari actually won the BAFTA last week, and that one shouldn't be ruled out either. I think films like the focus on racing and that could should always be in contention for this award. But of course, I'm rooting for The Irishman to win, but I think Parasite or Ford v Ferrari could win as well. Joker and Jojo Rabbit were both well edited as well, but like I said, it's just a very strong category this year. Makeup and hairstyling nominees are 1917, Bombshell, Joker, Judy, and Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. Without seeing the film, I think Bombshell looks like it's going to be the one to win, to be honest. I mean, the way they sort of recreated, they had Charlize Theron and John Lithgow put in lots of makeup to look like Megyn Kelly and, Roger Ailes. And, the makeup looks fantastic. It's one of the few films I haven't got round to watching this year that's up for awards. But just from what I've seen on the previews and that, the makeup looks amazing. I mean, Judy and Joker, 2 quite similar films in terms of their makeup. I mean, Joker's obviously is all about the clown makeup, essentially. So I wouldn't really say that one would be a strong candidate. But Judy, I think they did a great job of sort of recreating, the Judy Garland look on Renee Zellweger. I think 1917's more sort of the practical, the visual makeup, with like the, wounds and that they show in the battles. And I think the Maleficent nomination was a bit random, but, I think the first film didn't get nominated, and I suppose the Academy have always gone down that route of, bizarre, these like sort of films that aren't that, well reviewed in that, but they still end up getting a nomination somehow, like Norbit did all them years ago, that Eddie Murphy film, which is just an abomination. But the makeup got an Oscar nomination, so that says it all. Costume design, we've got Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, The Irishman, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I've said that the wrong way round. I think Little Women's got a strong chance of winning this one, and it's probably the best chance it's going to have of winning an Oscar on the night. Again, I've not seen the film, but the costumes do look impressive. So I reckon that one's got a chance. But I mean, I'd like to see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood win, because I thought they really sort of recreated the 1960s era so well with the costumes, and especially like when Margot Robbie was playing Sharon Tate. I thought she did sort of capture that essence of Sharon. But I'll say the costumes looked excellent basically. So I think Jojo Rabbit could be a potential dark horse here. Again, costumes were used for like sort of the World War II era, which was great. I mean, Joker's nominated here, and obviously, I love Joker, but I just think that nomination was just so random, and I think the least deserving of all the awards it's up for. And I think when you think that Rocket Man, Downton Abbey, Dolomite Is My Name, their costumes are far more superior, and yet none of them got nominated. So I think I've got to say boo to that. Joker, so yeah. So I wouldn't have rooted for that one to be nominated. Best cinematography, you've got 1917, Irishman, Joker, The Lighthouse, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think 1917 will walk this one. It was filmed by the brilliant Roger Deakins. He's one of the best cinematographers going in Hollywood, and he finally won his first Oscar 2 years ago for Blade Runner 2049. And it was a long time coming, that particular award, but I think he's definitely going to be on track for a second win in 3 years, because the filming for 1970, the way it was shot and everything else, it was groundbreaking, and so unbelievable. The fact that they shot it in, well, they always say it was a single take, but it was more than that essentially. But it was really the film, it was just excellent. Just brilliantly shot, and I'd be very surprised if it didn't win. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood would be the alternative. Again, I love the way they sort of captured the 1960s era. There's some great visual shots in the film. So yeah, I'd say that one as well has a strong chance. Joker, potential dark horse. And getting there now. And then this will be my last particular category to predict in this video, production design, which is sort of like, well, it used to be called art direction back in the day. So production design, the nominees are 1917, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. So I'm probably going to say Once Upon a Time wins this one, because I thought, the way, again, I mean, I've repeated this already in the last couple of categories, but, they really did work their socks off to sort of recreate the 1960s, the 1960s Los Angeles. It was just really mesmerising. The colours and everything else, all the sets. I know there was a few friends of mine that weren't that fussed on the film, but I just loved it. And if you're if you're a casual film viewer, you're not going to embrace a film like that as much. Whereas someone like me, a big film fanatic who's been following, who's gone through all sorts of films from, many, many decades and that, this is a film that will appeal more to the likes of myself. And I just felt that, the film did a great job covering that particular era. So I'd go for that one to win the Oscar. I mean, 1917 again could be a potential, dark horse. And even Parasite, which, I'd love to see Parasite win at least a few Oscars, on the night. But I'd be pretty happy with that one to win. So that's 10 categories I've covered in 14 minutes. I hope I won't be taking as much time out when I get to the main categories, but you know what I'm like, I ramble on. So yeah, so stay tuned for the next video, which is going to be the big one, all the big awards. So yeah, thanks for now.